Shocking archaeological discoveries. On the shore. Even scientists can't explain what they are. The coastline is not only where the land meets the sea, but also a treasure trove that holds shocking secrets, some of which even scientists can't explain. From strange, unidentified sea creature skeletons to mysterious artifacts bearing the marks of ancient civilizations, archaeological discoveries along the coast are raising difficult questions about human history and the natural world. Are these remnants of vanished civilizations, or simply mysteries yet to be unraveled? Along with the mind-blowing discoveries, experts are grappling with tough questions about the origins and significance of these artifacts. So, what fascinating findings have archaeologists uncovered along coastlines around the world in recent years? Let's explore them now. Mummified body bound on the coast of Peru. On the coast of the Lima region in central Peru, archaeologists have discovered a mummified body bound with rope, with both hands covering its face, dating back at least 800 years. According to archaeologist Peter van Dalen Luna from the University of San Marcos, the gender of the mummified body has not been confirmed, but it is believed to belong to someone from a community living between the coast and the mountains of this South American country. The distinctive feature of the mummy is its entire body being tightly bound with rope, with both hands covering its face. The archaeological team found the body inside an underground structure on the outskirts of Lima. The tomb also contained offerings, including ceramic items, plant remains, and stone tools. Through initial analysis, expert Van Dalen Luna suggests that the binding of the body with rope could have been part of a local funeral ritual. Therefore, the next step will be to perform radiocarbon dating, which will help more accurately determine the age of the mummy. Additionally, it is known that earlier, a mummy named Maria was found in Nazca, Peru, which caused a stir among archaeologists and the public worldwide. This was a mummy with only 3 fingers and 3 toes, covered in a strange white powder. Experts discovered it in early 2017 in a tomb near the Nazca lines in the southern part of the country, dating back to the 5th century. DNA and carbon analysis results revealed that the mummy belonged to a female, about 1,800 years old, and was 98.5% primate. This means the deceased body was 98.5% similar to humans and 1.5% remains unidentified. This discovery was even considered an astonishing find that could change history and is one of the most significant of the 21st. Perhaps when the mystery of this bound mummy is fully unraveled, it will also leave us with a profound impression of the past, especially from 800 years ago. Giant sea monster skull. On the Jurassic Coast in Dorset, England, scientists have discovered a giant skull measuring 2.1 meters long, belonging to the sea monster species Pliosaur. This creature once ruled the oceans around 150 million years ago, during the Jurassic period. The Pliosaur was a massive and extremely dangerous marine reptile, with a body structure perfectly designed for efficient hunting, making it one of the deadliest killing machines of the ancient seas. Pliosaur could grow up to 10-12 meters long, with a powerful body and 4 strong paddle-like limbs that allowed it to move swiftly in the water. Known for its terrifying hunting abilities, it could instantly kill its prey with a single lethal bite, thanks to its powerful jaws, which were twice as strong as those of modern saltwater crocodiles. Each tooth of the Pliosaur was razor-sharp, with small ridges on the back that helped anchor deep into its prey's flesh, then quickly retract for another attack. Paleontologist Andre Rowe from the University of Bristol even described the Pliosaur as an excellent predator, capable of hunting any unfortunate prey that came into its sights, including large fish like dolphins and even other pliosaurs. He compared it to the Tyrannosaurus rex, but as the king of the underwater world. This discovery was made by Phil Jacobs, an archaeology enthusiast, while walking along the southern coast of England. Jacobs noticed the creature's snout protruding from the pebbles, and after using a drone, he discovered the entire head nearby. To excavate the fossil, paleontologists had to climb a steep cliff and conduct a thorough survey. Because of this, the fossil is considered unique and very rare to find in such a complete state, significantly increasing its scientific research value. This is not only an important discovery in the study of ancient animals, but also a testament to the danger and dominance of the Pliosaur in the primordial oceans. 2,000-year-old ancient temple near the coast of Italy. An intriguing archaeological discovery was recently made along the coast of Italy near Naples, where scientists found an altar and marble slabs inscribed with submerged text. These could be the remains of a 2,000-year-old temple built by immigrants from Nabatea, an ancient kingdom in the Arabian Peninsula. This kingdom was famous for its rock-carved treasures, images reminiscent of scenes from the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. However, according to a recent study published in Antiquity, this temple had been buried under layers of concrete and broken pottery, likely due to the retreat of traders from the area. The temple is located off the coast of Pozzuoli, a town in the Campi Flegrei region, about 16 kilometers east of Naples. During Roman times, it was known as Puteoli, a major port connecting traders from across the empire. The Roman period marked a commercial boom, with ships from distant lands arriving to exchange goods like grain. Due to ongoing volcanic activity, the coastline at Pozzuoli has changed drastically, causing about 2 kilometers of the ancient port to be submerged and preserved almost intact. Artifacts found from the 18th century indicated that a temple had been buried, but it wasn't until 2023 that researchers uncovered 2 submerged rooms with Roman-style walls. Each room measures 10 by 5 meters, with 2 white marble altars positioned against the walls. Rectangular niches in the altars may have once held sacred stones. Notably, a marble slab inscribed with the Latin phrase Ducari Sacrum, meaning dedicated to Dushara, the chief god of the Nabatean people, was discovered. According to archaeologist Stefan Ile, this temple appears to have been designed in Roman architectural style, but was dedicated to the gods of Nabatean culture. The Nabatean kingdom, with control over luxury trade networks, achieved immense wealth by the end of the 1st century AD. After the kingdom was annexed into the Roman Empire in 106 AD, its control over trade routes began to decline. Thus, the destruction of the temple in Puteoli likely reflects the chaos and weakening of this culture in its final years before Roman dominance. Prehistoric sea monster skeleton. In early December 2023, along the coast of Sakhalin, Russia, a group of soldiers on a mission discovered the skeleton of a sea monster with an extremely unusual shape. The skeleton, which is approximately 6 meters long, features sharp teeth and is covered in a layer of fur, leading many to compare it to prehistoric creatures or monsters from horror films. What particularly caught the attention of researchers is that this skeleton does not resemble any known marine creature. Although many initially believed it could be the skeleton of a large beluga whale, initial tests of the creature's bones and teeth suggested that its structure more closely resembled a land-dwelling animal rather than a marine creature. This raises fascinating questions about the origin of the skeleton and whether it could be the discovery of a previously unknown species or a creature related to ancient mythical stories. Scientists have noted that this is not the first time strange skeletons have been found on coastlines. In 2013, fishermen in Villaricos, Spain, also discovered a bizarre-looking creature. The remains were later buried to ensure the safety of the public and avoid unwanted consequences. However, to this day, these discoveries remain unsolved, keeping the theories about mysterious ocean creatures alive as an intriguing topic within the scientific community and for those passionate about exploring the mysteries of nature. The sea monster skeleton found in Sakhalin will likely continue to captivate the attention of scientists and the public. Is this the trace of an undiscovered creature, or simply a rare phenomenon of a known species? This question will undoubtedly be explored in the coming months. 7-meter-long ancient shipwreck on the New Jersey coast. In December 2018, a discovery that stirred the archaeological community and local residents was made when the wreckage of an ancient ship unexpectedly washed ashore on the New Jersey coastline. The ship, approximately 7 meters long, dates back to the 19th century and is believed to have been sunk by waves during a major storm. However, the true origin of the ship remains a mystery to researchers. According to initial reports, some locals living near the coastline speculated that the wreck could be the remains of an ancient ship that may have been buried under the sand for a long time. Stan Spurlak, an expert from the Cape May County Museum, shared that the area where the ship was discovered is known to be a hazardous zone for sailors, as many ships have previously sunk there due to violent storms. Spurlak also suggested that the wreck could belong to a ship named D.H. Ingraham, a vessel that once transported goods from New Jersey to Virginia before sinking in 1886. Historical records indicate that the D.H. Ingraham was sunk during a fierce storm, combined with other factors such as high wind speeds and technical failures. To this day, archaeologists are continuing to investigate the mysterious shipwreck. While many theories have been proposed, there is still no conclusive answer regarding the origin and history of the wreck. This discovery remains an intriguing topic, opening up possibilities for uncovering untold stories from the past of ships lost at sea. Therefore, accurately identifying the ship would help illuminate part of the maritime history of the New Jersey coastline and also serve as an important discovery in underwater archaeological research. Giant treasure on the Black Sea coast. Recently, the National Museum of History in Bulgaria announced an incredible archaeological discovery at the Carrierlike fortress, located along the Black Sea coast. Specifically, a group of archaeologists working on an excavation in the area accidentally uncovered a treasure containing 957 valuable artifacts, marking an important discovery in the country's archaeological history. The artifacts were found on August 17th when the researchers excavated a room that had been destroyed by fire in the late 14th century, during the time of the Ottoman and Bulgarian empires. The treasure includes 873 silver coins and 28 gold coins, believed to be of great value. As mentioned earlier, these coins date back to the late 14th century, a period during the height of both the Ottoman and Bulgarian empires. In addition to the silver and gold coins, the treasure also includes 11 gold earrings, 22 buttons made from silver and copper, 2 gold rings, and 4 necklaces made of gemstones and gold. This discovery is part of a 15-year excavation campaign at Carrierlike Fortress, a site that was not only important militarily but also served as a cultural crossroads. Previously, archaeologists had also uncovered 2 other smaller treasures, consisting of a total of 140 gold coins from the late 14th century, 2 pairs of gold earrings, and other small jewelry. Bulgaria, located on the Balkan Peninsula, has always been a meeting point for many different civilizations throughout history. Therefore, the country boasts a rich archaeological heritage, and discoveries like the Carrierlike treasure further highlight the significance of this land in the broader European historical context. 500-year-old preserved camel mummies. Scientists have announced the discovery of 5 naturally preserved mummies of camels adorned with intricate decorations, believed to have been sacrificed around 500 years ago. These camels, along with their colorful decorations such as cords, red paint, and feathers, were adorned by the Incas before being buried alive as part of religious rituals dedicated to their gods. The discovery was made in 2018 at the Tambo Viejo site, an archaeological area along the Pacific coast of Peru. This is an extremely rare find, as although archaeologists have excavated many Inca sites over the past century, no one had ever uncovered a similar sacrificial ritual before. During the excavation, scientists discovered 4 camels buried together in one building, with another camel buried in a nearby building. These camels not only hold significant archaeological value, but also reflect the unique beliefs of the Inca people. The camels, especially the brown and white ones, were meticulously decorated with long cords dyed red, yellow, blue, and purple, symbolizing important gods in Inca culture, such as the creator god Viracocha and the sun god Inti. Some of the camels even had their faces painted with red paint and were buried with items like feathers, guinea pigs, corn cakes, and lima beans, foods used in sacrificial ceremonies. According to archaeologists, these rituals not only honored the gods, but were also part of larger feasts where food and drink were shared to strengthen political and cultural relationships. This helped Inca rulers establish and maintain long-lasting alliances with conquered peoples. From these discoveries, archaeologists have determined that these rituals took place around 1500, near the end of Inca rule, providing valuable insight into the religious and political life of one of the most powerful empires in South American history. Gigantic sloth fossil found in Mexico. On August 22nd, Mexican scientists made a groundbreaking archaeological discovery when they found the fossil of a giant sloth in an underground cave along the Caribbean coast of Mexico. The species, named Xibalba oviceps, carries a name rich in cultural and scientific significance. Xibalba in Maya means the underworld, symbolizing an enigmatic creature, while onyx in Greek refers to the sharp claws of the species, and oviceps in Latin refers to the egg-shaped skull. The fossil was discovered in 2010 by cave explorer Vicente Fito at Zapote Cave, part of an underground cave system in the Yucatan and Quintana Roo states. scientists revealed that the giant sloth skeleton was nearly intact and found about 50–55 meters below ground. The hypothesis is that the sloth fell into the cave when it was dry or had little water. By 2014, archaeologists had collected significant portions of the skeleton, including the skull, jaw, 9 vertebrae, 3 long bones, 3 ribs, and 7 claws. However, the rest of the skeleton remains deep in the pit and is expected to be recovered in the future for continued preservation and study. This is a remarkable discovery, as the existence of these giant sloths, once rulers of the tropical forests of South America, is well documented. The species migrated to North America about 9 million years ago, but the routes and evolutionary connections between North and South America remain an unsolved mystery. Mysterious object washed ashore on the coast of Australia. On July 16th, local residents reported a strange object on Greenhead Beach near Jurien Bay, about 250 kilometers north of Perth in Western Australia. The massive cylindrical object appeared to be severely damaged and was found lying on its side. The Western Australian police confirmed that they did not believe the object originated from a commercial airplane, but its exact nature remained unclear. According to The Guardian, local authorities initially considered the object to be dangerous. However, in a statement released late on July 17th, local police confirmed that chemical analysis from the State Fire Department's Chemical Center identified the object as safe and no longer posed any risk to the community. Police are currently investigating the object's origin and have asked the public to stay away from it. The Australian Space Agency has revealed that they are attempting to determine whether the object could be part of an overseas space vehicle that drifted to Australia. They are working to contact global partners to gather more necessary information. Hopefully, it will turn out to be something truly safe and not prone to exploding. The mysterious Ghost Island. Folklore from around the world tells of many strange and mysterious areas that exist around us. One such place is an island off the west coast of Ireland, which is shrouded in thick fog and can only be seen once every 7 years. According to Irish oral traditions, this fog-covered island disappears when humans get too close. These stories later appeared in printed books about Irish folklore, and you'd likely be unsure which one to read first, as they are all incredibly fascinating. According to the book Irish Wonders of 1888 by D.R. McAnally, the island was seen by residents of County Cork on July 7, 1878. The number 7 appeared 3 times, a highly symbolic number, as it is considered spiritual, suggesting the presence of a powerful spiritual force behind the event. It could also point to coded information, as in alchemical texts. Regardless, the strange appearance of the island was described in Irish Wonders as follows. On Sunday afternoon, July 7, 1878, the residents of Ballycotton in County Cork were thrilled by the sudden appearance of a distant island offshore, whose existence had been unknown. The men of the town and the island of Ballycotton were fishermen, very familiar with both the sea and the land. The previous day, they had been out on the water heading toward the spot where the strange island now appeared, convinced it was the best fishing ground they had. However, they looked further and their astonishment grew, as the sky was clear during the day, and the island was as clearly visible as the hills to the north. In some areas, it was rugged, while in others, it was densely forested. On one end, it rose almost steeply from the sea, while the other end sloped more gently. High Brazil has appeared in many different legends, including those featuring giant black rabbits living with a sorcerer, gods hiding in the fog, lost civilizations, and of course, UFOs. Though it has never been found, this ghost island appeared on maps from the 14th to the 19th centuries. Historians believe this was because mapmakers could not verify all locations, and therefore sometimes inadvertently included these rumors on their maps. The origin of High Brazil is still unknown, but according to Irish legend, it is believed to be named after the Uí Breasail, one of the ancient clans from northeastern Ireland. 4,000-year-old mummy in perfect condition. In 1939, a research team led by Swiss archaeologist Bergmann Folke discovered a series of tombs at the Shioha site, located in the Taklamakan Desert. This discovery was forgotten for 60 years, until researchers at the Xinjiang Institute of Cultural Relics and Archaeology resumed excavations at the site in 2000. 5 years later, the entire excavation process was completed. The excavation area spanned an enormous, unprecedented range. Archaeologists uncovered 330 tombs spread across multiple layers, with 15 mummies in perfect condition. The mummies were placed in wooden boat-shaped coffins, buried face down. Clothes and jewelry were buried with the mummies, placed in small baskets. The mummies were wrapped in woolen clothing and cowhide, so carefully preserved that not a single grain of sand managed to get inside. Experts believe that the harsh, dry climate of the Taklamakan Desert created perfect conditions for the preservation of these mummies over time. Additionally, the archaeological team found 6 coffins containing wooden human figures. The wooden bodies were identical, representing men, and were marked with red X's. However, one of the most remarkable discoveries at the Sioha site was the mummy known as the Sioha Princess. The mummy, preserved in nearly perfect condition, dates back about 4,000 years. Research findings indicate that this is the mummy of a young princess who died at a young age. Modern analysis has allowed archaeologists to envision what the Sioha princess might have looked like when she was alive. She had smooth skin, a high nose, long auburn hair, long curved eyelashes, and appeared more European than Chinese. She also had an alluring smile. These features indicate that the Sioha princess was a beauty. Notably, DNA testing revealed that the mummies had mixed Eastern and Western genetic traits. One male mummy was found to have genes linked to people from Eastern Europe. Additionally, a strange discovery emerged when archaeologists searched for clues within a radius of hundreds of kilometers from the tombs but found no connection to the people buried at the Sioha site, as though they had come to Xinjiang from distant lands. This led experts to wonder where this ancient princess came from. One hypothesis is that she came from somewhere between southeastern Europe and the Ural Mountains. The princess and her people may have lived in the Taklamakan Desert for a long time before her death, after which she was buried there. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also dressed impressively, wearing a white spire-shaped hat and high fur-lined boots. However, many questions remain. What happened to the people like the Sioha princess? Where did they come from, and why did they disappear? These mysteries remain unsolved to this day. 1,500-year-old Buddhist ruins. In May 2012, archaeologists made an unexpected discovery of the ruins of a Buddhist temple over 1,500 years old, deep within the Taklamakan Desert. The temple was found covered by vast sands, yielding over 3,000 relics, with the most significant discovery being the wall paintings. These murals were created in the Greek Buddhist artistic style, a rare form after the 6th century. Therefore, archaeologists concluded that this was the clearest evidence of cultural fusion between the West and the East during the spread of Buddhism into China. Wu Xinhua, the lead archaeologist, shared, "This site is unique. We have never seen murals like this in this field. It is a clear example of the unification of two cultures when Buddhism began to spread into China." The excavation, completed in June 2012, confirmed that the temple dates back to the northern and southern dynasties of China, around 1,500 years ago. It is one of the earliest Buddhist temples in China and provides valuable insights into the process of Buddhism's introduction from India to China. The temple is not only a cultural heritage site, but also an important research project that helps historians and archaeologists understand the development of Buddhism in China. Biological armor in a 2,500-year-old tomb. Around 2,500 years ago, in the northwest region of China, archaeologists discovered a unique set of armor made from over 5,000 fish scale-like pieces of leather, intricately designed and overlapping like fish scales. This discovery drew significant attention from researchers and shed light on the special characteristics of ancient military equipment. The armor was shaped like a vest, easy to wear without assistance from others. According to Patrick Wertmann, the lead researcher from the Institute of Asian and Oriental Studies at the University of Zurich, this armor was a type of light defensive clothing, easy to wear and highly effective for soldiers. The scale armor was later regarded by researchers as the first example of biological technology in the military, or what could be called nature-inspired innovations. The leather scales overlapped like fish scales, creating a protective layer for the wearer, capable of resisting strikes, stabs, and bullets. Mikey Wagner, the scientific director at the German Archaeological Institute, stated that this was one of the most unique inventions for protecting the human body in warfare. The armor was excavated from the Yanghai Cemetery near the city of Turpan, located on the edge of the Taklamakan Desert in the Tarim Basin, Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, China. The cemetery was discovered in the early 1970s, and since 2003, archaeologists have excavated more than 500 tombs there. The findings suggest that the cemetery was used for nearly 1400 years, from the 12th century BC to the 2nd century AD. Although there are no written records from the people who lived there, ancient Chinese historians recorded that the inhabitants of the Tarim Basin, known as the Cheshi people, were skilled in livestock herding, horseback riding, and archery. This leather scale armor is one of the rarest discoveries in archaeology. Another famous example of scale armor was found in the tomb of King Tutankhamun in Egypt, but that armor dates back to the 14th century BC and is one of the few well-preserved examples. When restored, the Yanghai armor was found to consist of 5,444 small leather scales and 140 large ones, possibly made from cowhide. The leather scales were arranged in horizontal rows, connected by leather straps through slits, forming a highly durable overlapping structure. According to Maka Wagner, the design of this armor resembles descriptions by the Greek historian Herodotus of Persian soldiers' armor in the 5th century BC, which he described as fish scales. The mysterious subterranean ocean. When people think of a desert, they often envision drought, a lack of water, and small oases. Therefore, the idea of a desert having no drought and even possessing an underground ocean may seem strange to many. However, the Taklamakan Desert is an exception. Despite the scorching heat, this desert contains numerous lakes. Geologists suggest that this could be due to numerous underground water channels beneath the desert. However, this theory has been met with opposition. Scientists argue that, considering the evaporation rates in the Taklamakan Desert, the possibility of surface water reservoirs existing on the land is nearly zero. Particularly, sandstorms occur frequently in the Taklamakan Desert, making surface water flow extremely difficult. Given these desert conditions, it is impossible for underground water to exist beneath the Taklamakan Desert. However, when considering the surrounding mountains and glaciers, this could explain the situation. With the unique 3 mountains, 2 basins, geographical formation in Xinjiang, the Taklamakan Desert is surrounded by high mountain ranges, and many glaciers exist at the peaks. The temperature difference between day and night in Xinjiang is intense, causing significant amounts of water from mountaintops to flow down into the Taklamakan Desert. Some experts have discovered that before 330 AD, the Taklamakan Desert was a vast lake. Today, this area is called Lop Nur. Lop Nur is a dead land that has been desertified, but it was once a lush area with abundant water resources. The strange phenomena surrounding Lop Nur and the ancient city of Lulan are often shared in legends. As a result, people believe that there is an underground ocean beneath the desert, with water volumes equivalent to 8 Yangtze rivers. So, what is the reality of this? Does a subterranean ocean truly exist under the Taklamakan Desert? This still requires further investigation from researchers to uncover more detailed answers. The mysterious squares. In 2010, Amelia Carolina Sparavigna, a physicist at the Polytechnic University of Turin in Italy, discovered massive squares in the Taklamakan Desert in western China while analyzing satellite images from Google Maps. Each square is made up of multiple circular dots, forming a giant checkerboard pattern when viewed from above. This discovery attracted considerable attention from scientists, but to this day, there has been no official explanation for the nature of these strange shapes. Since 2010, Sparavigna has continued to study and analyze satellite images of the giant checkerboard. Through her research, she noticed that the dots within the squares might be holes or mounds of earth. She hypothesized that these holes and mounds could be related to geological research activities, an explanation she proposed to account for their appearance. The situation became clearer when Sparavigna came across a Chinese language article in which Chinese geologists reported the discovery of a large nickel mine beneath the sand dunes in the Taklamakan Desert. From this, she proposed that the holes and mounds could be the result of nickel mining exploration. Geologists might have dug holes to check the nickel reserves beneath the surface, with the excavated earth piled up next to the holes. Based on these findings, Sparavigna suggested that governments should create a global database of human-made structures. She believed this data could help experts predict future mining activities and track the development of specific regions, providing a foundation for studies on resource extraction and environmental protection. Of course, this is her personal viewpoint. As for the true nature of these squares, it remains an unsolved mystery. The 65,000 square meter ancient town. In late January 2024, Chinese archaeologists discovered an ancient town buried under the sands of the Taklamakan Desert, covering at least 65,000 square meters, with the urban area alone spanning 4,000 square meters. Dr. Wu Xinhua, the leader of the archaeological team from the Xinjiang Academy of Social Sciences, said this was a significant discovery during archaeological searches in the region. Based on archaeological analysis, the research team believes the town dates back to the Western Han Dynasty, which lasted from 206 BC to 220 AD. While most of the town's remains have been buried by desert sands, archaeologists were still able to identify 4 layers of walls, each with distinct characteristics. The innermost wall is 17.8 meters long from north to south and 14.6 meters from east to west. The second wall layer still has remnants of ceramic columns, while the third wall resembles a grand avenue. The outermost wall consists of thatched roof houses, indicating that this was an organized and developed area. Between the third and fourth layers of walls, the team discovered several residential buildings, suggesting this might have been a residential area. Dr. Tang Zihua, a member of the research team, mentioned that they had collected burial clothes and wood to conduct studies, using radiocarbon dating to accurately determine the age. The diverse types of wood and vegetation found in the building materials suggest that, although the area is now arid year-round, it once had abundant water resources during the Han Dynasty. The oldest saddle. A recent special archaeological discovery has attracted significant attention in the research community, as archaeologists found a 2,700-year-old saddle in the tomb of a woman at the Yanghai Cemetery, located at the edge of the Taklamakan Desert in northwestern China. This discovery not only sheds light on important aspects of ancient Chinese horseback riding history, but also reflects a major advancement in technology and civilization during that time. Before the invention of the saddle, humans had already domesticated horses and used them for activities such as transportation, hunting, and warfare. But initially, they rode horses without saddles. Instead, they would place a blanket or rug over the horse's back. The invention of the saddle marked an important milestone, as it not only improved the rider's control over the horse, but also protected the rider from injuries caused by sitting directly on the horse's back. Saddles provided comfort and enabled long-distance travel, enhancing the fighting and trading capabilities of ancient civilizations. The saddle found at Yanghai is the oldest ever discovered in archaeological history. Researchers believe that ancient Chinese equestrian techniques might have been adopted from the people of Central Asia, where saddles had been used early on. The saddle was made by stitching pieces of leather together, then stuffing straw and animal fur inside to provide cushioning and stability. This demonstrates a significant advancement in saddle-making techniques and design. This discovery not only serves as evidence of the development of horseback riding technology, but also helps researchers better understand the cultural exchange between ancient civilizations, opening up interesting questions about how the techniques of horseback riding spread throughout the region. Carrier-like objects in the desert. According to information from the U.S. Naval Institute's USNI News, satellite images taken on November 7th by Maxar Technologies revealed objects resembling aircraft carriers and at least 2 Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers. These objects were discovered within a Chinese military training area in the Taklamakan Desert in the Rokiang County of the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. This area is known for being the site of China's first successful test of the DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missile in 2013. Notably, China's carrier model is much more complex and sophisticated than the ones constructed by Iran in the Persian Gulf. USNI News cited a report from the All-Source Analysis Spatial Intelligence Agency, which stated that there were no signs of missile impact around the ship models, and they were highly detailed with numerous sensors above and around them, suggesting that they could be reused in training exercises. According to Reuters, the construction of these aircraft carrier targets reflects Beijing's efforts to enhance its ability to counter aircraft carriers, particularly those of the U.S. Navy. This comes amid rising tensions at sea between the two nations. The Chinese Ministry of Defense has yet to comment on this information, but it is known that this is not the first time China has built aircraft carrier models for training purposes. The 700-year-old tomb of a powerful eunuch from the Ming Dynasty. In March of this year, Chinese archaeologists announced important details about an excavation that took place from July to December 2023. This excavation was of an ancient Ming Dynasty tomb dating from 1368 to 1644, located in Xinzhou, Shanxi Province in central China. The tomb featured exterior windows carved with floral patterns along with many precious artifacts. According to the archaeologists, the epitaph inside the tomb helped them identify the tomb as belonging to Wang Luo, a eunuch who governed Xinzhou and is believed to have died in his 50s. The epitaph also contained valuable life advice, such as, "Those who borrow money to get rich should not be arrogant. They should change their demeanor and be polite when meeting people of all ages." Additionally, when the tomb was excavated, two well-preserved wooden coffins were discovered. The larger coffin, painted in yellowish-brown, was decorated with patterns and an inscription stating, "Entrusted by the Ming Dynasty to serve the imperial court as an official in the palace." The smaller coffin featured colorful floral, grass, and peacock patterns that remained vivid and detailed. Inside the chamber containing Wang Luo's coffins, there were two compartments with intact ceramic containers, which were believed to hold grains and oil. In a private room behind the tomb, the archaeologists found wooden furniture buried with the deceased. The items included various bowls, plates, and jars, creating the impression that the deceased had recently dined before their departure. The room also contained lamps, incense burners, tin vases, cups, bowls, painted wooden figurines, and other ceremonial items. A chair in the tomb still bore beautiful gold-painted patterns on its backrest. Archaeologists also noted, the tomb is well constructed, with many preserved wooden burial items and ceremonial offerings. These items are rare in Xinzhou and even in Shanxi Province. They may provide valuable insights into the shape of the tomb, the social life, and burial customs during the Ming Dynasty in this region. Eunuchs played an important role in Chinese history, first appearing during Emperor Han's reign from 146 to 167 BCE of the Han Dynasty and continuing through both the Western and Eastern Han periods. Eunuchs in the imperial court often held positions of power, sometimes controlling the fate of a dynasty. At the time the Ming Dynasty transitioned to the Qing Dynasty, 70,000 eunuchs lived in the Forbidden City. However, the eunuch system was eventually abolished in 1924 when Puyi, the last emperor of China, left the Forbidden City. Find the sighing mummy in a 2,000-year-old tomb. Xi'an, known as the Holy Land of Tombs, has long been a highlight on China's cultural map. With its millennia of history, it retains many secrets about the past, and each time an ancient tomb is unearthed, a new story emerges. Recently, during an excavation in the Hanyang district of Xi'an, Shanxi Province, an unexpected event occurred. While workers were excavating, they suddenly discovered an ancient tomb and immediately notified archaeologists for a detailed survey. Based on drawings, artifacts, and traces of an ancient civilization, experts quickly identified the tomb as dating back to the Western Han Dynasty, almost 2,000 years ago. However, the unusual part was that when they opened the coffin, they did not find any grave goods inside, just a coffin and a mummy. This led the experts to speculate that the tomb might have been looted. To uncover the truth, they decided to open the coffin. What followed were a series of strange events. First, they discovered that the mummy inside was still remarkably well preserved, even though it had been submerged in water for a long time. Then, they heard a strange sound, resembling a sigh, emanating from the mummy. This was a phenomenon never before recorded and shocked the entire team of experts. To unravel this mystery, the specialists conducted thorough research. Eventually, they discovered that the strange sound came from the mummy having been submerged in seawater for centuries. The high salt concentration in the seawater had drawn moisture from the body and replaced it with salt, preventing decomposition by inhibiting the growth of bacteria and microorganisms. When the coffin lid was opened, the influx of oxygen triggered biological mechanisms that vibrated the mummy's vocal cords. producing a sound similar to a sigh, which startled the experts, making them think the deceased had returned to life. However, they concluded that while the phenomenon was mysterious and eerie, it was simply a biological event that could be explained. Thus, this ancient tomb once again demonstrated the power of preservation in special environmental conditions, continuing to offer fascinating discoveries about the cultural past of the Chinese people. The tomb of the daughter of Qin Shi Huang. Ascending the throne at the age of 13, Qin Shi Huang became the first emperor of China and one of its greatest rulers in history. Countless legends and myths surround this emperor, and the Great Wall of China, as well as the Link Canal, which still stand today, are clear testament to his visionary accomplishments. However, despite his grandeur and the magnificent achievements of his reign, his personal life was filled with tragedy. According to experts, Qin Shi Huang had 33 heirs, the most famous of whom were his sons Fu Tuo and Huo Ho, the latter becoming the second emperor of the Qin dynasty. Particularly notable was his beloved daughter Ying Ying Man. Favored by her father, Ying Ying Man lived a life of luxury, free from worries. However, everything changed after Qin Shi Huang's death. In the blink of an eye, the princess lost everything, and together with her brothers, she was sentenced to death by dismemberment. This tragic event is reflected in a group of ancient tombs in the eastern Qinling Mountains in Shanxi Province, China, which were excavated by experts in October 1976. After uncovering the first 8 tombs, experts discovered numerous unusual details. In these tombs, most of the remains were buried in disarray, with some bodies having been severed, arrows piercing through them, or limbs detached. This indicates that those buried there had suffered brutal and savage deaths. Furthermore, the tombs were located near the Qinling Mountains and contained vast quantities of burial goods, which led the experts to believe the individuals buried there were closely linked to the Qin royal family, especially Qin Shi Huang himself. A particularly revealing discovery was a seal inscribed with the words Yang Su, found in the tomb, which helped confirm the identity of the princess Ying Ying Man, the beloved daughter of the first emperor. At that point, all the secrets were revealed. After Qin Shi Huang's death, Prince Huo Ho conspired with the eunuch Zhao Gao to forge an imperial decree, plotting to kill Crown Prince Fu Tuo and seize the throne for himself. Once he secured the throne, Huo Ho massacred all his opponents and murdered his own siblings. As a result, 12 princes were beheaded in Handan, and 10 princesses were dismembered, leading to widespread bloodshed in the royal palace. However, after only 3 years in power, chaos erupted in the court. Huo Ho was forced to abdicate and committed suicide in disgrace, causing the fall of the Qin dynasty. This tragic historical episode marked one of the darkest moments in Chinese history. The most terrifying imperial tomb in China. In 1955, the archaeological team led by Guo Matuo began excavating the tomb of Emperor Wan Li, located at the Ming Dynasty's Dingling Mausoleum. For a relatively young archaeological team, this was a highly risky and challenging task. Dingling, also known as Ming Dingling, dates back more than 300 years. It is the final resting place of Emperor Wan Li, the 13th emperor of the Ming Dynasty, and took 6 years to build, costing nearly 8 million taels of silver. Though it wasn't as large as other imperial tombs, Dingling was still constructed with great attention to detail, which created significant obstacles for the excavation team. It took over a year and a half for the archaeologists to find the entrance to the tomb. When they finally located it, they discovered that the entrance was sealed by a diamond-shaped wall, 8.8 meters high and 1.6 meters thick. As the excavation progressed, local rumors began circulating, claiming that the tomb contained a river, and that one had to travel by boat through a deep chasm filled with sharp swords to reach the emperor's coffin. Furthermore, only someone born on the same day and month as Emperor Wan Li could access the tomb. This caused significant concern among the excavation team. Nevertheless, Guo Matuo's team chose to disregard these superstitions and continued with the excavation. After months of persistent effort, the team finally reached the main chamber where the emperor's coffin lay. According to the excavation team, 3 red coffins were placed in the central room. The middle one belonged to Emperor Wan Li, and the 2 others were for his empresses. Upon opening the coffins, The archaeologists were thrilled to find a wealth of rare and priceless treasures. Among the most notable discoveries was the emperor's dragon crown, embedded with over 120 precious gems and 5,000 pearls, all crafted entirely with gold thread. However, archaeological methods at the time were still primitive. Due to limited resources, some of the artifacts discovered in the tomb were severely damaged. The archaeologists at the time deemed the emperor's wooden coffin unimportant for research and left it by a mountain crevice. 7 villagers, hearing about this, went to the site to collect the wood, dividing it among themselves. They were elated to have obtained timber that was more than 300 years old, unaware that their actions would bring disaster. Soon after, strange occurrences began to happen. An elderly couple had a coffin made from the emperor's wood, but within 2 weeks, both died. Another farmer placed a piece of the wood on an altar, and all 4 of his children died mysteriously. Those who had shared in the wood from the emperor's coffin soon began facing misfortune. Even the archaeologists involved in the excavation faced strange incidents. Guo Matuo's wife, Wu Liping, hung herself in their old house in Beijing, while their 2 sons also committed suicide. The lead archaeologist, Zheng Zhendao, died in a plane crash, and the project's director, Wu Han, committed suicide in prison. The photographer, Liu Dean, who opened the emperor's coffin, also hanged himself. It seemed that the moment the tomb was opened, the curse of Emperor Wan Li's tomb began to take effect. Despite the many valuable treasures found within, Dingling left behind fear and dread within the archaeological community in China. Since then, the excavation of imperial tombs has become an unspoken taboo within the field of Chinese archaeology. The mysterious liquid in the 1,000-year-old tomb. In 1986, a miraculous event took place in the eastern region of Inner Mongolia, China, when archaeologists discovered a nearly 1,000-year-old royal tomb, shedding light on the era of the Liao dynasty. The Liao dynasty, which existed from 907 to 1125, was a significant period in Chinese history, and this tomb was identified as that of Princess Liao Chengguo, the granddaughter of Emperor Jingzong of Liao. Upon its discovery, the tomb attracted special attention from both experts and the public. At that time, historical records on the Liao dynasty were scarce, making every new find from this period extremely important. However, many tombs of Liao emperors had been severely damaged and were no longer useful for research. What made this discovery even more remarkable was the strange occurrence that took place when the experts began to move the princess's body for further study. A mysterious white liquid suddenly began leaking from the cracks in the coffin and poured out in increasing amounts. Upon seeing this, the experts quickly alerted everyone to evacuate the tomb. They managed to escape just in time, as they were aware that the Khitan people, ancestors of the Liao dynasty, had the custom of pouring mercury over the bodies of the deceased to preserve them. As you may know, mercury is highly toxic. The large amount of mercury soaked into the coffin explained why the princess's body, despite being over 1,000 years old, had not decomposed. However, exposure to a large amount of mercury vapor can cause poisoning, convulsions, and even death, which is why the archaeological team had to immediately evacuate the area. What made this tomb even more unique was that it contained not only the princess's remains, but also those of her husband. This was an extremely rare find, as prior to this, Chinese archaeology had only recorded cases where concubines were buried alongside emperors or princes. Princess Liao Chengguo passed away at the young age of 18, beloved and greatly favored by her father, which was reflected in her many title changes. She was initially named Princess Taiping, and later she was given the title of Princess Viet Guo. This explains why her tomb was so exquisitely designed and contained a vast amount of valuable burial goods. The coffin inscribed with 4 chilling words. During construction work in Xi'an, China, a group of workers made a mysterious discovery of an ancient tomb. This sparked the interest of archaeologists, and upon excavation, they found it to be the tomb of an important figure from the northern Zhou period, part of the Sui dynasty, which lasted from 581 to 619 AD. This ancient tomb contained a coffin made of precious materials, along with the remains of a young girl and several valuable artifacts. Through research and analysis, experts identified the tomb's owner as Li Jingxuan, the granddaughter of Empress Yang Lihua. Li Jingxuan died at the young age of 9, and according to the customs of the time, Empress Yang Lihua held a grand funeral and memorial service for her. The coffin holding Li Jingxuan's remains was carefully crafted by skilled artisans to reflect her high status. On the coffin's lid, 4 words were inscribed: "Anyone who opens it will die," a chilling curse meant to protect the tomb from grave robbers. Despite the warning, the team of experts decided to open the coffin to investigate and uncover the secrets inside. Fortunately, they encountered no misfortune and discovered over 200 valuable burial items, including pearl jewelry, oval-shaped glass items, and many other artifacts. Experts believe that the curse on the coffin played a significant role in protecting the tomb for centuries, as there were no signs of tomb raiders having disturbed it. The experts speculated that Empress Yang Lihua had placed so many treasures in her granddaughter's tomb because of her deep affection for her. Thus, Empress Yang Lihua may have wanted Li Jingxuan to continue living a royal life even in the afterlife. 20 coffins moving inside an ancient tomb. In 1978, while the Chinese Air Force was constructing a radar repair factory in the mountainous region of Sui County, now Suizhou City, Hubei Province, a surprising archaeological event occurred. This was one of the most important and dangerous discoveries ever made by the Chinese military. When the soldiers used explosives to level the ground, they had no idea that the large hole created by the blast would lead directly to an ancient tomb. Upon entering, the soldiers were amazed by the vibrant and detailed murals on the walls. They immediately realized that they had uncovered an important cultural relic and reported the discovery to higher authorities. Archaeologists from the Hubei Provincial Museum quickly arrived to survey and photograph the tomb. The event attracted media attention, with military helicopters being deployed to record every moment. The experts attempted to open a solid stone door leading into the tomb but encountered difficulties. The door was believed to be securely sealed to prevent grave robbers. After unsuccessful efforts, they had to request assistance from the military. When the tomb door finally opened, the soldiers were shocked to see 20 coffins inside, all moving. However, the archaeologists discovered that the movement of the coffins was mainly due to them floating on the water inside the tomb. When the large door was opened, the water began to flow out, causing the coffins to drift. Scientists theorized that the tomb might have been affected by an earthquake or flood in the past, which caused the groundwater to burst through. As a result, the coffins and artifacts within the tomb were submerged underwater, facing the risk of serious destruction. After conducting the retrieval operation and opening the 20 coffins, the archaeologists were stunned to find that the coffins contained the remains of young women. Based on the clothing and musical instruments buried with them, the experts speculated that these women were likely dancers, buried to perform and sing for the tomb's owner in the afterlife. Finally, the archaeologists found the main coffin of the tomb's owner. This coffin, made of lacquered wood, contained the remains of the tomb's owner and was placed in the eastern chamber. Notably, it was wrapped in a special coat made of bronze, designed in such a way as to allow the spirit of the deceased to wander freely. After preliminary testing, the archaeological team confirmed that the tomb belonged to King Zheng Haoyi, an important historical figure from the Warring States period. In addition to the 20 coffins, more than 15,000 artifacts were unearthed, including musical instruments, lacquered wooden items, gold and jade, weapons, chariots, bamboo, rattan, and 6,239 other bronze artifacts. Among these, a set of 65 bronze bells stood out for their exquisite design and sound quality, and they are considered a national treasure of China. Mummy on the Ghost Ship. On February 26, 2016, 2 Filipino fishermen discovered a ghost ship that had drifted onto the southern coast of the country. Even more terrifying, aboard the ship was the dried body of a middle-aged foreign man, weathered by the sea winds. The man's head was slumped on his right arm on the radio desk, while his other arm hung limply. Though his face showed no clear emotion, it was suspected that he had suffered in pain, trying to reach out to his loved ones before passing away. Based on documents found on the ship, the Philippine authorities identified the deceased man as Manfred Fritz Bajorat, a 59-year-old German sailor and explorer. It is unclear where Bajorat's ghost ship had started or where it had traveled, but his death and the items found on the ship remain a mystery that continues to haunt many. On the old swaying ship, an album filled with happy memories was discovered, along with scattered clothes and food containers next to the body, which had dried out from the salty sea breeze. In particular, there was a heartfelt letter Bajarat had written to his wife. The letter said, "It has been 30 years we have been together in life, and then the power of death overcame the right to live. You have gone. May your soul rest in peace. Your Manfred." Information about Bajarat was scarce until a German sailor named Dieter revealed some details about him. Authorities later confirmed that Bajarat had a daughter named Nina and a late wife named Claudia, who passed away 2 years earlier from cancer. Claudia had sailed with her husband on the 120-meter-long yacht named Seyo for 20 years before they divorced in 2008. After his wife's death, Bajarat did not give up his thrilling sea explorations. He remained deeply attached to his family, holding on to the beautiful moments they shared, but continued to drift on the sea, eventually passing away aboard the yacht filled with happy memories. Bajarat's body was later taken to the coroner's office in Butuan City. After an autopsy, Philippine authorities uncovered the cause of Bajarat's death. Wilbon Mayer, the spokesperson for the Philippine National Police, said that the autopsy results showed that the sailor died from an acute myocardial infarction. Regarding the well-preserved state of Bajarat's body, it is believed that the high temperatures, hot air, and salty sea winds helped preserve it until it was found. Smoke-processed mummy tomb. In January 2015, a remarkable archaeological discovery shook the research community when scientists uncovered a tomb containing smoke-processed mummies of ancient Filipinos deep within the dark caves of Mount Timbak in Benguet Province, over 320 kilometers north of Manila. These mummies are not only well-preserved bodies, but also hold a unique ritual of the Ibaloy people, an ancient ethnic group in the Philippines. This is one of the few places where the practice of smoking the dead is still preserved, a tradition that dates back over 1,000 years. It is known that the ancient Ibaloy had a peculiar custom to bid farewell to the deceased by smoking their bodies for several months to preserve them and turn them into fire mummies. After being smoked, the bodies were buried in tombs deep inside the mountain, forming an ancient cemetery hidden in the caves. These mummies are so well preserved that they can last for thousands of years without decomposing. This explains why some mummies in the Timbak caves remain intact to this day, with even tattoos visible on the arms and legs of the mummies. The journey to learn more about these mummies has drawn attention from many, including young researcher Edgar Allan Zeta Yep. He climbed Mount Timbak to witness the ancient mummies and, as expected, was impressed by the way the Ibaloy preserved the bodies. Zeta Yep shared, "These mummies are incredibly well preserved. You can even see the tattoos on their arms and legs." The Ibaloy's smoking ritual ended when the Spanish colonized the Philippines around 400 years ago. However, the mummified caves remained intact until the 19th century without anyone discovering them. Today, some of these tombs have been opened to the public, allowing people to admire these strange legacies of the ancient culture. The 300-year-old ancient town. In May 2024, after a prolonged heat wave with little rain, the water level in a reservoir in Nueva Ecija, Philippines, dropped enough to reveal parts of a submerged church, gravestones, and the foundations of the 300-year-old Pantabangan town. The ancient town of Pantabangan, which was submerged in 1970 to make way for the construction of the reservoir, once housed about 1,300 people. The dam now serves as the primary water and irrigation source for Nueva Ecija and surrounding provinces. At that time, the town's residents had to leave their homes and move to higher ground. The remains of the deceased were also relocated to a new cemetery before the town vanished beneath the reservoir. However, after the water level at the dam dropped by 26 meters since the beginning of the year and is currently 7 meters lower than the same time last year, the ruins of the ancient town have begun to surface. Parts of the church, gravestones, and the foundations of submerged buildings, which had been underwater for over 50 years, are now exposed. The reappearance of these ruins has excited many local residents. Among them is Aurea de los Santos, a 61-year-old retired nurse who shared, "When I heard about the submerged church resurfacing, I was so excited and wanted to see it for myself." Additionally, some locals quickly took advantage of the opportunity to turn the site into a tourist attraction. Fisherman Nelson Delara, who previously earned a living fishing, said, "Before, I only made 200 pesos a day, But now with tourists coming, I can earn between 1,500 to 1,800 pesos a day. The dwarf people who were only 1.2 meters tall and could climb trees. The evolutionary history of Homo sapiens will officially have a new chapter starting today, as archaeologists announce the discovery of fossils from an ancient dwarf species of humans that was previously unknown. Specifically, these bone samples were found inside a cave in the Philippines, dating back between 50,000 and 67,000 years ago. They belong to a completely new species, which scientists have named Homo luzonensis, standing under 1.2 meters tall and capable of living in trees. Around this same period, our ancestors, Homo sapiens, and the Neanderthals were spreading across the Eurasian continent. However, inside the Callao cave on the isolated island of Luzon in the northern Philippines, Homo luzonensis seemed to have lived peacefully, unaware of what was happening outside. Recent human history has long stated that our species originated in Africa. About 1.5 million years ago, no human species had left the mother continent until the first upright species, Homo erectus, began to spread. They came to dominate lands that now correspond to Spain, China, and Indonesia. However, Homo erectus went extinct around 50,000 years ago. Around the same time, our ancestors, Homo sapiens, the only surviving human species, also embarked on a major migration out of Africa. But we now know that Homo sapiens was not alone. Our ancestors had other relatives from the Homo genus, specifically 6 species. But now, that number has risen to 7 with the discovery of Homo luzonensis, a completely new human species. Florent Detroy, the lead researcher from the National Museum of Natural History in Paris, believes this discovery will be the latest addition to the human evolutionary story. Along with his colleagues, Detroit conducted excavations inside the Callao cave on Luzon Island, where they found 7 teeth, 2 hand bones, 3 leg bones, and 1 thigh bone, believed to belong to 2 adults and 1 child. Although it wasn't a complete skeleton, these fossils provide enough clues to reconstruct the appearance and lifestyle of their owners, the Homo luzonensis. The small size of the teeth indicates that Homo luzonensis was under 1.2 meters tall, making them even shorter than another ancient human species, Homo floresiensis, sometimes called hobbits. Homo floresiensis was also found in Southeast Asia and lived during the same period as Homo luzonensis. But what makes Homo luzonensis particularly fascinating is that this species had curved toe bones, similar to the anatomy of much older human species like Australopithecus, which lived in Africa around 2 to 3 million years ago. Typically, curved toe bones suggest a mixed lifestyle, meaning that Homo luzonensis could both walk upright on 2 legs and still retain the ability to climb trees. So, what caused a human species that existed around 50,000 years ago to retain such primitive traits? One hypothesis is that Homo luzonensis was isolated on a remote island, so evolution simply left them behind. But how did Homo luzonensis get to Luzon, an isolated island in the Pacific that has never been connected to the mainland? Several possibilities have been suggested. First, scientists hypothesize that some early human groups might have attempted to conquer the seas by raft. A second hypothesis suggests that they might have been swept onto the island by a tsunami. However, many scientists believe that Homo erectus was not intelligent enough to intentionally cross the sea, making the tsunami hypothesis the more popular one. This would preserve the historical narrative of early humans migrating from Africa to Asia, while also explaining the presence of Homo luzonensis on a remote Pacific island. Ultimately, the existence of Homo luzonensis is the only undeniable fact. A 40,000-year-old artifact. Archaeologists have just announced a groundbreaking discovery in the Tabon Cave, located in Palawan, Western Philippines, which changes everything we knew about the history of ancient technology. Specifically, they have uncovered evidence of advanced fiber technology that existed around 40,000 years ago, far surpassing previous understandings of technology. Previously, the oldest artifacts related to fiber technology were recorded in China, dating back only about 8,000 years. However, the discovery in Tabon has clarified that an ancient community in the Philippines mastered this technology tens of thousands of years ago. In a study recently published in PLOS One, the team of scientists analyzed stone tools found in the Tabon Cave, which is famous for its numerous prehistoric human remains. From these, microscopic evidence of wear from working with plant fibers was revealed, showing that the ancient people here were already braiding ropes and weaving baskets at an unimaginable time. Furthermore, extended research shows that communities in the region, considered the cradle of civilization in the Philippines, skillfully used durable fibers from rough plants like palm and bamboo to weave and bind materials. Notably, researcher Herman Jaffler from the University of the Philippines Diliman emphasized the importance of fiber technology in human evolution, stating that this technological advancement facilitated the creation of various items such as baskets, traps, ropes for building homes, bows and arrows for hunting, and eventually, sturdy boats with sails. The Southeast Asian stone tools used for weaving and basketry were also different from those found in Africa and Europe, with many more sizes and shapes. As a result, scientists believe this change was due to the process of adapting to an environment during the Age of Bamboo, a plant that grew abundantly in the region. This breakthrough study not only sheds light on ancient fiber technology in Southeast Asia, but also highlights the remarkable craftsmanship and adaptability of the very early human populations in the area. The Golden Buddha Statue and the Treasure of General Yamashita. The story began in 1960 when Rogelio Roxas was still a soldier in the Philippine Army. One day, he happened to see a young man, about 20 years old and gravely ill, lying on the side of the road near a barracks. When he learned the man's name was Tomolo and that he had no home, family, or job, Roxas took him to the hospital and paid for his medical expenses out of his own pocket. Half a month later, after Tomolo was discharged, he told Roxas that during the Japanese occupation of the Philippines, a Japanese army officer had lived with his sister as husband and wife. When Japan surrendered, Tomolo's brother-in-law was taken prisoner, and his sister, fearing retaliation from Filipino resistance fighters, had fled to Cebu Island. After that, Tomolo never heard from her again. Knowing that Tomolo wanted to find his sister in Cebu, Roxas not only bought him a boat ticket but also gave him some money. Grateful for this kindness, Tomolo gave Roxas an old hand-drawn map. Roxas recalled, according to Tomolo, his brother-in-law was one of the officers assigned to bury General Yamashita's treasure, which had been looted from Myanmar and other Southeast Asian countries during World War II. All the soldiers involved in burying the treasure were killed to keep the secret. Just days before the Japanese surrendered and the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Tomolo's brother-in-law had given him the map, telling him to keep it safe until he returned. Roxas continued, in 1949, when all the prisoners of war were released by the U.S. military, Tomolo learned that his brother-in-law had died in late 1945 from malaria. With no money, no home, and living in a monastery, Tomolo never thought to search for the treasure. Moreover, during that time, rumors about Yamashita's gold were widespread across the Philippines, leading some opportunists to claim they held maps of the treasure and persuading others to invest money for equipment to excavate. Once they had enough funds, these people disappeared, so if Tomolo had made the map public, he would likely have been accused of being a fraud. That's why Tomolo gave it to me, hoping that if I found the treasure, he would have a share. In 1967, Roxas left the military. From then until 1970, while working as a locksmith, he continued searching for the treasure's location. By early 1971, he had deciphered all the symbols on the map and realized that the treasure was buried near an abandoned hospital in Baguio City, northern Luzon. Immediately, he applied for permission to excavate the treasure and received approval from Judge Pio Marcos. At the same time, he hired workers, all of whom were family members, and began digging. Using a small generator for lighting, the crew worked day and night with hand tools like pickaxes, shovels, hammers, and crowbars. At 11 p.m. on January 23, 1971, Roxas found the entrance to a tunnel 9 meters deep. After breaking through a brick wall, the first thing he saw was tangled electric cables, a radio transmitter, several bayonets, and a few rusty rifles. Nearby, there was a human skeleton in a Japanese army uniform. The following day, January 24th, the workers broke through 2 concrete walls, and this time they discovered a 0.9-meter tall golden Buddha statue. The statue was so heavy that it took 10 workers using ropes and pulleys to lift it out of the ground. That very night, Roxas took the statue to his home, hid it in his private room, and took photographs as proof that he had found the treasure, since Philippine law at the time stated that the finder of an unclaimed treasure would receive 70% of its value. According to Roxas, the statue's head was detachable, and inside, there was a small compartment filled with uncut diamonds. The next day, Roxas and his workers returned to the tunnel. About 15 meters from where the statue had been found, they discovered several tin containers lined with wood and similar in size to modern beer cans. When opened, they found 24 gold bars. Like the statue, Roxas transported all the gold bars to his house. In addition, he took a samurai sword, several bayonets, and other everyday items used by Japanese soldiers, such as rice bowls and canteens, and sealed the tunnel entrance with explosives because Roxas knew that what he had found was only a small part of General Yamashita's treasure. In the following weeks, Roxas visited the Baguio court twice to meet Judge Pio Marcos and report the results of the excavation and seek official recognition of his legal share of the treasure, but he could not meet with Marcos. To pay the workers, Roxas sold 7 gold bars and promised them a generous reward once he sold the Buddha statue. In early March 1971, Roxas found a buyer for the statue, Kenneth Cheetham, a representative of a British company. By drilling a small hole under the statue's left arm and having it analyzed, Cheetham confirmed that it was made of pure gold with a 99.99% purity. Another buyer, Luis Mendoza, also tested it using nitric acid, confirming that it was solid gold with a purity of over 99%. Fossil of a dwarf buffalo on Cebu Island. A recent discovery that has shaken the scientific community has revealed a previously unknown species of dwarf animal on Cebu Island in the Philippines. This is a dwarf buffalo, named Bubalus cebuensis by American researchers, which lived thousands of years ago during the Pleistocene era. Remarkably, this buffalo was so small that it was about the size of a large sheep. The fossilized bones of this dwarf buffalo were first discovered over 50 years ago by an American mining engineer. But it wasn't until recently that the specimen was brought to the Field Museum in Chicago and officially identified. This dwarf buffalo stood at only about 2.5 feet tall and weighed 350 pounds, a modest size compared to the Asian buffalo today, which typically stands around 5.9 feet tall and weighs over 1,980 pounds. Compared to the smallest known buffalo species, such as Bubalus mindorensis from Mindoro Island, which weighs over 500 pounds and stands nearly 3.3 feet tall, Bubalus cebuensis remains the smallest dwarf buffalo. One interesting explanation for the dwarfism of this species may be the island environment, where animals lack large predators and have limited food sources. On islands, it is not uncommon for animals to shrink in size compared to their mainland relatives, a process known as insular dwarfism. The absence of predators or resource limitations may have driven these animals to adapt by evolving into smaller sizes to survive. Today, studies of dwarfism on islands are not limited to animals. They also involve humans, such as the case of the Flores Hobbit people in Indonesia. Scientists are still debating whether these individuals were a new human species or just Homo sapiens affected by a condition called microcephaly. These discoveries raise significant questions about the evolution and adaptation of species in special environments. As you can see, these mysterious archaeological discoveries in the Philippines not only astonish scientists, but also raise a series of major questions about the history of humankind and ancient civilizations. From perfectly preserved mummies buried in the earth to the timeless technologies that ancient communities possessed, all these are crucial clues to better understand the process of evolution and the development of civilizations. However, many of these discoveries have caused significant confusion as they challenge our current understanding of history. Scientists are continuing to study these findings in hopes of unraveling the mysteries and answering questions that have remained unresolved for thousands of years. For archaeologists, these discoveries not only enrich the world's archaeological heritage, but also present an opportunity for us to rethink the past more deeply, helping us to better understand the origins and development of human civilization. What do you think about these discoveries? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any other fascinating discoveries. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.